Hello everybody, my name is Russ, and I'd like to show you a new GitHub free WinUITranslator app that I just uploaded recently. I use this to translate my commercial applications that use WinUI. And I'm just going to demonstrate how it works first of all, then we'll look at some details. Here it is on GitHub. It comes with a couple sample applications to experiment on, and here I have it loaded up in Visual Studio 2022, and we're going to be using the Translator app. And here it is. Okay, so we set up a target, which is in this case the sample application packaged. I can set up a profile. This is a translation service that I'm going to use, and you can use OpenAI, or you could use a free local model to do your translations as well. It works really good. Okay, so first thing we do is we scan it. So this is going to identify anything that is translatable in this application. Okay, now it's identified 18 items that are translatable, and those could be XAML elements, or they could be dynamically generated translations. Okay, so let's go over to translate, and I'm going to tell it to save it to the cache and translate it. Now this is going to translate from English US into Arabic, German, and French, and you can put as many languages as you like. It takes about a minute to do this against the OpenAI API, so we're just going to fast forward here a bit. Okay, it's almost done. So I'm going to scroll down. You can see it has finished the Arabic translation, the German translation, and it's just finishing the French. And it should be done. Okay, so it did 18 translatable items. And so for each one of those items, it sent it off to the translation service, in this case OpenAI, to translate it. Okay, and you can look at the results of these. You can look at this example, for example, to translate the words image browser to French, and it gives the reasoning directly back from OpenAI. Okay, so these are cached, so if I was to translate it again, it's very fast because it's just going to find all these existing translations in the cache. So that saves you cost and time as you develop and you keep adding new items that need to be translated to your application. It doesn't have to go do them again. Okay, so now let's take a look at the sample application that we just translated. Here it is up here. Now here I have a language override, and I just have it set to English US so let's see what it looks like untranslated. Okay, so pretty simple. We have some XAML elements up here and some dynamically generated translations here. Okay, so we're going to launch it next as German and see what it looks like. I'm going to override it to German. And there's the translations that we just got back from OpenAI. Or OpenAI. Okay, anyways, so, okay, let's try some more here. So we had French. And there's our French translations. And here we have something that says missing a hint token. And if you caught it back when we did the scan, it said something about missing a hint token. We're going to take a look in a moment at what these hint tokens are. And let's take a look at it in Arabic. And it's always good to include a right to left language when you're doing your development, just to make sure your layouts look okay. So there's our translations. Okay, I'm just going to put this back to German for now. And let's take a look at how we prepared this project to be translated. So the first thing you need to do is add the strings folder, the subfolders that you need for each language, and then you copy in a resources.resw, which is located in this translator folder. And the translator app that we just used comes with a target folder, and it has all the things that a target application could need, including this translator folder. And you copy this entire translator folder over to your target app. And in here is the cache, and these are all just JSON files. So you can include all of these in your version control, and you're able to see the changes in your translations and how they've happened over time. And you could commit them, you could revert them, whatever you like. And it also contains the logs. So when you did a scan, it populated this file, and then when you did a translation, it populates these other files. And now you no longer have to edit these resources.resw files again, because it's all handled by the translator app. So if we go into this sample app and we look at what else we need to do, we'll go to the main window. And let's look at this one right here. This is in the XAML file, a text blocked element. So you're going to need to ensure that you have an XUID identifier for each XAML element that you want translated. And this is pretty common for anytime you're doing translations. You always use this. And it's the same here. And you need to follow some rules when you do these to make sure that, for example, you don't use a dot, because this is invalid. This is an invalid identifier, but this is valid. And very importantly, you have the concept of a hint token. So here's the text you want to be displayed. Enter your name here. But we have a special hint that we want to send to the translation service. And this hint is treat it just as words you would find on a user interface in a software package. Okay, very generic. But on this one, we have two ats. And that means the same thing, except try to keep the length of this translated text the same or less than the original text, which is useful when you have very limited space in your application layout. You just don't want a big long word replacing what you are translating. And here's an example of the missing hint token. There's no token at the beginning, so this one will be rejected. It won't be translated. Now we have some other ones. We also have an exclamation mark, and this helps the translation service gain some additional context. This single exclamation means that the translation is going to be in the context of a photography software application, because the word aperture when you're talking cameras is different from aperture when you're building a house. One's just an opening or door, and the other one has to do with the particular diaphragm that is in the camera lens. And we also have a variation of that. If I could see it here, it's actually two exclamation marks, which is the same thing, except keep it short. Okay, so let's take a look at these dynamic translations. So there can be times when you want to have a message like this, where it says, loading something, please wait. And you might put a percentage there or a file name, but whatever it is, we can't do a static scan for that because it's really the string is unknown up front. So what we have here is a T-localized class. And this is really just lots of log entries here, but this one line here is what gets it done. This is a static class to localize that's in the library, and you call it get. And you basically say, give me this translation with this hint token, and you give it an identifier. Here's another example. Do this translation with this hint token, and let's give it this identifier. Now, when the debugger is attached in your development mode of, say, this sample application, when the application runs and these gets are done, the content of these gets is added to a t-localized gets file here. And so next time you do a scan, it will look at that file and bring in any of these dynamic translations that you did. And they'll be included in the translation. When you're not in debug mode, and maybe you release your software or just run it out of debug mode, it's not going to try to do that. And you could turn this on and off. So that's the way that the dynamic translations work. So let's take a look at this profile here that we have set up for DeepSeek. And this DeepSeek profile can run on LM Studio on your PC. It only requires an 8 gig video card, GPU. And so let's see what we have here. So if we were to go to the profile settings, here we can see the prompts that are sent to the language model. And you can see how they change. For this particular hint token, it just says displayed in context of a software interface. And this one says same thing except make it shorter. This one says do it in the context of a photography software interface. And this one here says the same thing except make it shorter. So this is where you can adjust the prompt to meet your business case. So if you're making software for, I don't know, golf, you can make it say that it is going to be displayed on a golf software user interface. Now you can also test your profile to see how well your prompt works. So here we have an example of the DeepSeek. I don't have that server set up right now, so let's go back into OpenAI. And we have some samples here that you can change, but I'm just going to comment some of them out. And I'm just going to get it to try and do a translation of the word close with this hint token. We're going to do it 3 times. We're going to try to translate it into German. And when you're testing these, you just want to make sure they're consistent. I'd make sure that they can do 5 or 10 identical translations with any variation to make sure that you have your prompt set up correctly so you know that you can have nice, predictable, and deterministic outcomes. Okay. We also have the cache editor here. So back on the sample packaged sample app, this is the cache that was populated when we did a translation. And you can double click on an item here. Sometimes you get a translation that your translation service just will not get right. And so you can go in here and you can edit it and save it. If you want to do one over again completely, you can delete it. So basically, when you're developing, the process is you go develop, add some new things, come to this app, scan, translate, run your application, observe the different translations that are done, and rinse and repeat until you're done and you can release your app fully translated. All right, well, I hope that helps a little bit. And if you have a chance, give it a try. And leave any comments you might have at on the GitHub issues, or maybe even here on this video. All right, have a good one.